welcome. I'm Droniak, and this is a video guide for the Thrall's Revenge jumping puzzle that's been added to Guild Wars 2 in the newly revamped Lion's Arc. You start from Fort Marina, walk along the bridge towards the center of town, and then you can jump on top of a bunch of barrels, move alongside these planks onto the rooftops. You can actually jump on top of these chimneys and then walk across a lot of the ropes in the town. Normally you would just fall through those, but in this case almost all of the ropes are walkable. Also, the chimneys are an important key. They tend to point the way towards where you need to go in this jumping puzzle. Although sometimes there are a few more, like in the next bit, because, you know, these are houses. As we go along in this jumping puzzle, eventually we'll come across hidden stashes. There are 4 of them in all, and they each contain a key. Once you have all 4, you can combine them and create a master key to open the chest at the end of the jumping puzzle. There are, however, no save points. So while I'm doing this on a warrior, it's a single run through this jumping puzzle. You would be better off taking a mesmer or having a mesmer buddy or 2 with you, so that they can put up portals at the difficult points, like around here. You can actually walk all over the rope towards this chimney, then onto the roof, into these plants, and you can walk along the rope towards that plank. This particular chimney you need to jump on top of from behind. At least that's the only way I've gotten on top of it. You could just drop down here. And we're at our first stash. This is the first key. That's the easy bit. Now you get to jump on top of these cranes and climb the giant lobster. That's the new Lion's Arc harbor. You need to walk along here and jump at the very end to reach the ledge. If you just keep moving to the left, you will still fall on top of the crane and be able to get back up in case you fall. If you don't move to the left and you fall, you might end up in the water, in which case you're not gonna get back up. Also, these ledges, it's important to walk against the wall, because sometimes you can just drop off if you're not paying attention, or if you're not doing it carefully enough. Here you can just walk down to the ledge and move along the ropes and the sail to get to the beams that lead to the top of the lobster. In this bit you can actually just walk past, but the next bit is again tricky. Would probably put up a portal here if you're a mesmer. You need to make sure you have swiftness and then jump as far left as you are able. Otherwise you will bounce off and fall into the water, and you can start all over again. You can just drop down here, the last crane, and we can move on top of the building behind it. There's actually nets underneath these planks, so if you fall like I did, you can just jump on top anyway. There's not at this point anymore though. We need to walk around the building because someone at ArenaNet decided to be tricky and put the next step of the jumping puzzle behind it, where you can't possibly see it. Of course, I suppose it's smoking, so you might see it from the top of the lobster. Jump on top of the barrels, into the ship, and here's the second key. There's actually a pretty nice view here. Sometimes you'll hear the guide coming by, it's interesting. So where we need to go is to the left of here. Just walk along the boat. And there's a rope ladder here. And you can jump into that little cove And in between these buildings, there's that safety net underneath, so if you fall you should be able to get back up. Again, on top of the chimneys. They're everywhere in the new Lion's Hawk. Here you actually need to jump on the edge of that building to get on top. So, more chimneys. This bit's fairly easy. There's another rope ladder over here. All the way in the back. And just walk along the rocks. And eventually you come to a point where you can't go any further and you need to jump to this basket. Very, very gently. Because if you jump too far, you'll fall to your death. And it's really only a short jump. And here's the third key. And the nastiest bit of the jumping puzzle. You would think that with all the rocks over here, you could just jump on top and somehow make your way across rooftops, but no. Instead you need to go into this little cave, and there's a drop down into a bar. You need to move a little bit forward, but not too far, and you can get into this basket and jump on top of these, I suppose they're flags. So you can get on top of the ropes. Don't hit the birds because you'll be knocked off. Just jump over them. Be very careful here. Because if you fall you can't get back up. Portals help. So in this little wooden construction you can actually make your way on top. Over these planks. And then you come across some more rocks to jump on top of. This is where we'll jump all the way up until you get to a wall where there's a bunch of planks that you can use to get even higher up. It helps to stand a bit to the left of that particular plank, so that you don't get knocked off. Just walk along here. When you're on the roof, we need to actually go around this building following these protruding planks and baskets. You fall off there. So there's actually a handy technique here. You can just walk into the basket. And between the planks there are safety nets, at least at the dangerous points, like over here. If you take this nice and slow, you should be able to make it just fine. And once you're all the way around, you actually don't need to go this direction, though there's a nice view of both the harbor and the rest of the city. Instead, we need to get on top of these rocks and walk all the way to the back. You could see some of the wind chimes or windmills in the background. They look really nice. There's big blue things on top of some of the buildings that are rotating in the wind. Here you jump on top of this ledge and then on top of the chimney itself. And as you could see, there's a rope ladder leading to the next building. And this is going to be a tricky bit. Normally you'll have to jump on top of the ledge and just walk your way around, and there's another rope ladder leading to the next area. I don't quite make the jump. Now because I'm a warrior, I can actually get myself out of this situation by dashing to the roof over there. And then in this direction you can actually make your way back into the jumping puzzle by going on top of that mast down there. Now obviously normally you jump on top of the building that I'm underneath now. But this gets us in the same direction. So the roof they need to go to is over there. I'll just dash onto it. Normally you just drop down from the rope ladder onto here. It's really not that much of a detour. I don't actually need to go in this direction. Instead, over on top of that ledge, and then the roof again. Obviously, the chimney behind us is a nice indicator for where we need to go. And what I do is jump on top of that roof. I think you could also just follow the rope and get on top. But here's where you need to go. That's a bit unconventional. All the way to the left of that building, the edge of this roof, there's actually a path. You can jump on top of that chimney to get further in this jumping puzzle. Again, you will want portals here. I have actually fallen off here before. This is not a nice spot to fall. You can just very carefully walk all around this. Alternatively, you could just dash to that roof if you're a warrior, which of course I don't recommend. Be a mesmer. They're always good for jumping puzzles. I just don't really have one at the moment. So here's the chimney indicating the direction. There we go, another boat. There's actually a rope ladder leading over to the next building. These glowing lamps beneath it. You could just walk along the edges of those roofs to get to the next rope ladder along the way. This bit's fairly self-explanatory. It's rope ladder to rope ladder. Again, you don't immediately see it, but there's another rope ladder to the right. Over by the smoking chimney. And from that particular rooftop, there's another rope ladder to... Oh no, wait. There's no rope ladder here. You actually need to jump down on top of the bridge. The magic super high bridge. You can walk all the way around here and then you can move up and use those little planks to get all the way on top. Oh, and use these chimneys to get all the way on top to the next rope ladder. Now what's interesting to me is that clearly large parts of the city are still under construction. I wonder if they're actually gonna make those finished at some point. It would be interesting if you could see it change. So here we go up and around. You can actually just jump off here into this part of the building. Actually, no, past it. Because that's the building we need to be in. Specifically, we need to take the stairs. Just jump into this little cove and then jump around. Get on top of the stairs. And then at this point, the easy way is the way that I'm technically gonna show you. You get all the way on top of here. And you just jump on top of that roof. There's nothing over here. Technically you could probably make your way across those beams as well. But this is easier, just jump over here. And all you really need to do is jump down on top of the rocks. I'm gonna try to make it to the ledge. But it's not really necessary. I actually failed to jump. There we go. That's fine. If you can just make it to those rocks, you're good. Because all we need to do is use those planks to get on top. It's gonna take me a few tries, I think. I don't think you can actually make this jump, but what you can do is jump around it to the next beam, and then on top of the beam itself. And then here is the next key, the last and fourth key. And now we have all four ready to combine for the final chest of this jumping puzzle, which is a little bit further along. Honestly, the next bit is fairly simple, except for the final jump. And here you just move up, and then back. There's a pole there. You can then just jump the obvious direction. There's really nowhere else you can really go. Here we go left. Along the rocks, extremely high over Lion's Arc. There's a bunch of stuff that you can farm there. Obviously I did. And then, ooh, I fell off. Which is fine, can still make my way up here. But this is a tricky jump, you want swiftness.
Swift and steady.
And then we're at the final chest. There's a dead troll in front of it. All I need to do is combine the keys. There we go. 1, 2, 3, 4.
Rare loot.
Combine them. We have the key to open the master chest.
I deserve an award.
And that's the achievement, and this jumping puzzle complete. All in one run, as a warrior. Obviously I don't recommend that. Bring a mesmer. But hey, I hope this video guide has helped you in completing the Troll's Revenge jumping puzzle. And if so, please do like the video, leave a comment or favorite it, and subscribe to my channel. Check out my other videos, maybe the guide to acquiring Princess, the Dragonite ore eating item that's been added with Lion's Arc's update as well. For now, this has been Droniak, and I hope to see you in the next video.